who, by the way, has testified 200 times before Congress. He's been heard. In 1972, when Bruce Fein graduated from Harvard Law School, I came here to speak. It was actually February 26, 1972, invited by the Harvard Law School Forum. And prior to coming up here, I asked them, would there be an adequate audience? And they said, there are never enough seats at Harvard Law School forums, no matter who the speaker is. And I was 1L, and I remember sitting in this room, listening to Robert Hutchins, who was the president of the University of Chicago. At age 29, he was dean of Yale Law School, to give you a measure of the man's ambitions and accomplishment. And he gave us a lecture. Every seat was full. There were people sitting on the floor. He gave us a lecture. And the one thing I remember most about that lecture was the question he asked us. And he asked us this question: what is the purpose of the Harvard Law School? And we sort of looked at each other and chortled, like, what kind of idiotic question is that? We weren't here to discuss this kind of philosophical query. What has that got to do with our courses? And I was more impressed by the reaction than the question, the dismissive reaction, as if the acculturation process of Harvard Law School was not already sinking into us. Let me put it another way. The paucity of this audience reflects the anime, the infectious anime that has turned Harvard Law School, with few exceptions, into a brilliant puppet of the oligarchy and of plutocracy. It has turned Harvard Law School into highly proficient drones, with few exceptions. It has turned Harvard Law School into a lie. It is not a skeptical law school once you go beyond its intellectual cocoon. It doesn't ask the big questions emanating from the law when these questions are directly relevant to the destruction of the law in one area of our political economy and the other. The very question of justice, which is what the law should be all about, is really not front and center here. There are maybe 30 clinical programs, which is good. That's 29 more than it was when I was here. There are now courses on civil rights and environment and poverty. There were no such courses when I was here. But by the same token, the concentration of power and its manacling of systems of law, however feeble, from disciplining that power so that it reduces its lethal destruction of person, environment, labor, future, posterity. It's just not there. I spend a lot of time in Washington. I have seen the concentration of power increase with a level of acceleration in recent years that indicates, to take the metaphor of the glacier, that it's now moving toward an irreversible shattering. Does anybody in Washington, when they violate the laws, corporate violators, government violators, you think at any time when they invade any country in a criminal war of aggression, when they expropriate your tax dollars into hundreds of billions of dollars of military hardware, which are not needed, when they transfer your tax dollars into illegal bailouts of crooked Wall Street firms, do you think any of them ever say, even privately, we're worried about Harvard Law School? What is Harvard Law School going to do? What is it going to do as an institution? What is it going to do as a faculty? What is it going to do as a student body? What is it going to do as an alumni body? They don't even give it a thought. Because if those institutions are not ministering to pushing this country into the abyss, to destroying constitutionalism, to the rapacity globally that is occurring, to the holding back of known solutions to long-established agonies, it's indifferent to it, with few exceptions. The infectious ideology known as law and economics, empirically starved as it is, basically thinks normative inquiry is soft. It's intellectually soft. Doesn't have stature. Marginal utilities are what have stature. Monetization of decision making is what has stature. My class had 15 women, 2 Negroes, 1 Hispanic, the son of a Latin American dictator. And we actually went around thinking that this was a great law school. The professors, the brightest of them all, you didn't believe it, all you had to do is ask them, would go around basically saying, there shouldn't be many women at the law school. They're just going to graduate, get married, have babies, and they're taking up a seat that could be filled by a future practitioner. You see what happens when normative values escape bright minds? And we never even gave it a thought, hardly. I must say I did. I worked at the Harvard Law Record. Without the Harvard Law Record, there wouldn't have been a legal education for me. At that time, it was the second leading publication in the country in terms of circulation. It went out to every member, every graduate of Harvard Law School. And I stumbled on something that was quite interesting. 11 states in the mid-1950s had laws banning women from serving on juries, including Maryland. I wrote it up. It appeared in the Harvard Law Record. I walked through Langdell Hall and Harkness. It was all being distributed. Nobody gave it a thought. So you see, things in some ways are better now. They're better in terms of giving people more opportunity. But aside from upwardly mobile career moves, what has that done to deconcentrate and hold power accountable so that people can live? Health, safety, material standard of living, fulfill life's possibilities. That's what we have to ask ourselves when we get over the deliberation of diversity. What difference does it make other than opening careers to more people? Harvard Law School has Elizabeth Warren. She has aroused Washington, D.C. She has enlightened Washington, D.C. How many are there here in the last 50 years of the faculty who've done that? She's a scholar. She's an advocate. She's extremely persuasive. She's about to be marginalized. The financial industry, collapsing our economy, as never has occurred in 3 generations,